Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Dafuq I Just Watched, with your host, as always, McLemore. This week we'll be recapping and reviewing the latest Spider-Man film. That's right, it's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Flip, flip, flop. And before we get too far along in the review, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as it's much appreciated and it keeps the show alive. And if you haven't seen Across the Spider-Verse and would still like to, make sure you pause now and return later, as there may be several spoilers up ahead. That's right, this is your official spoiler alert! The dynamic writing duo that is Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are teaming up once again to bring us the long-awaited sequel to their 2018 film, and they have quite the challenge ahead of themselves as Across the Spider-Verse looks to outdo the original in every possible way. This includes having the longest runtime of any American animated film to date, with 2 hours and 20 minutes. It also had one of the largest crews to date, with over 1,000 people working on this film. And let's talk about some of the performances in the film. Across the Spider-Verse sees the return of nearly the entire original cast, including Shameik as Miles Morales, Hailee Steinfeld returning as Gwen Stacy, and Jake Johnson returning as Peter B. Parker. Across the Spider-Verse introduces an entire multiverse of different kinds of Spider-Man. Everyone from Spider-Cat to Spider-Man India to Spider-Man 2099. All kinds of Spider-Man, any kind of Spider-Man you could possibly think of or fathom is probably in this film. There's a good chance any Spider-Man interpretation that you can think of is like somewhere you could pause and probably spot him somewhere in the background. And although Across the Spider-Verse introduces plenty of new and very cool Spider-Man, I want to say that the real spotlight shines on Gwen Stacy in this film. One could even make the argument that this is a Gwen Stacy film. As a matter of fact, the entire opening sequence is Gwen Stacy. We do not see the title credits for like a solid 20 or 25 minutes. It is all the Gwen Stacy show for a good chunk of time. So much so that when Miles Morales finally gets introduced, it's like, oh man, I forgot that this was even like the point of the movie. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. Gwen Stacy's scenes are so amazing. Her scenes are so unbelievably beautiful, just on a visceral level. This is borderline a Gwen Stacy film. Like, it's a real battle between, like, it's almost perfectly split between like a Miles Morales film and a Gwen Stacy film. And Hailee Steinfeld is incredible the entire film. Her voice acting is on point from start to finish. Shameik also giving an incredible performance as Miles Morales, and it's great to have Jake Johnson returning as Peter B. Parker. They have a really great dynamic, and it's really fun watching them interact. But Across the Spider-Verse also introduces plenty of new Spider-Man, front and center, of course, being Oscar Isaac as Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099. Oscar Isaac, fantastic as Miguel O'Hara, really great, shouldering all the responsibility, the intense pressure, the anger, the intensity, the badassness. Like Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, super badass, amazing look. His costume, kind of like this, like almost borderline luchador kind of thing going on. Fantastic. And also Oscar Isaac, I mean, you can expect nothing less than perfection in all of his performances, including voice work, because he kills it in this film. Across the Universe also introduces Daniel Kaluuya to the Spider-Verse as possibly the coolest thing ever. If you haven't seen it, spoiler, dude, he's Spider-Punk. There's a line when like he takes off his mask and like Miles Morales is like, dude, how are you even cooler under your mask? And I will argue that it's like, how do you get cooler every single frame of this movie? The more this movie goes on, the more and more I'm just like, give me more Spider-Punk, dude. He is the coolest character in this whole film. He's the coolest Spider-Man that I have seen in years, dude. He is so like perfectly anti-establishment, like so like fight the system, man. Like, dude, how can you not love somebody who's just so anti-establishment and so just like Man, screw this, dude. Like, I'm just gonna be cool back here. Like, dude, Spider-Punk was so next level amazing. Jason Schwartzman also jumping into the Spider-Verse as our sort of main nemesis of the film, the Spot. And he gives a wonderful performance. Jason Schwartzman has a great voice acting performance because it begins in such a funny and silly and very lighthearted way. And to watch his performance evolve and change until the end of the film is really, really interesting and fun to watch him develop and evolve as the film goes on. And now let's talk about some of the visuals and Across the Spider-Verse, because this film is truly, viscerally, unbelievably beautiful. Across the Spider-Verse is borderline a work of art. Somebody better call Indiana Jones, because this film belongs in a museum, dude. The level of animation in this film is truly mind-blowing and inspiring and like unbelievably beautiful from start to finish. And not only that, but it's also done in such amazing creative ways that it is like viscerally so entertaining for your eyeballs, dude. I don't even know where to start. I love the blending of different styles together. They have this theme of like different dimensions kind of merging into the other ones. So you get these unbelievably great visuals of like different styles of animation colliding and fighting each other. Right at the beginning, there is a beautiful sequence of kind of like a Renaissance, like Leonardo da Vinci kind of drawing, battling what we know as like our Spider-Man kind of like comic booky kind of feel. So it's like this clash, this beautiful clash of different styles and animation that just like mold and fight and battle each other. It is fantastic. They have like an entire like Spider-Man India sequence where it is just unbelievably beautiful. It is so colorful and like so vibrant and so amazingly alive. Like, it is so fun watching these different styles and watching them go through different dimensions. Like, it is really, really entertaining. But do you want to know what the real highlight is? Do you want to know what the most unbelievable part of this movie is? It's anytime Gwen Stacy has a scene with her father. Those scenes are so unbelievable. Those scenes are so mind-blowing, so viscerally beautiful that like it's tough to watch without becoming extremely emotional. They are so gorgeously done. You could literally take out all of the dialogue in those scenes. You could have them completely muted and just be watching the colors and the music and still have a 100% comprehension of what exactly is going on in the scene, and also be still completely emotionally moved by all of this, because they do this beautiful thing where it's like all of the background, it changes, it becomes so less detailed and it just becomes more like colored, almost like watercolored, and it starts to match whatever emotion is kind of like their color of their emotion in the background. So let's hit Across the Spider-Verse with our overall rating. Overall, Across the Spider-Verse is essentially everything you could ever hope or want in a sequel. It has all of our favorite things about the first movie, all of these cool characters that we love, plus new characters that we get to play with that are unbelievably cool. Plus, even the awesome, amazing animation from the first film is somehow turned up even more in this film. Like, the first film was so unbelievably well animated, and they were like, oh, you like that? Well, let's just turn it up to 11, because this film somehow gets even better on the animation scale. Also, some really great storytelling in this film as well. They continue the trend of like introducing multiple different Spider-Men, but it's never confusing. It's never done in a way that's like convoluted or weird. It's all just very clean, very crisp. It's also very always moving forward. It's light, it's fun, it's funny, it's legit funny. It's also emotionally heavy. It's got everything. It's like really, really great storytelling. Not a ton of negative things to say about this film, but if you are gonna like really hold me down, like really gun to my head, say something bad about this film, it's that maybe it's just like a tiny bit too long. As mentioned before, the longest American-made animated film to date, 2 hours, 20 minutes, maybe just a little bit too long. There was only like maybe a tiny moment or two where the film slows down just a little bit, but overall, it does have like a good flow. Overall, you don't feel the time too much. Overall, it's just like you're having too much fun with all these like awesome Spider-Man to really care that you're here for so long. So we're gonna hit Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse with a. That's right, coming in top of the class, almost nothing bad to be said about this film. It is amazing from start to finish. It takes everything we loved about the first one and just cranks it. It takes all of our cool, awesome characters from the first one and just makes them more cool and awesome while introducing more cool and awesome Spider-Man. If you felt differently about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, feel free to comment down below, and if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button because it's much appreciated. I am your host as always, Kyle McLemore, and we'll see you next time at the movies.